Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Miles' Trial. Today is day 23 of Miles' trial. I'm your host, Saturn. And today we are actually going to start off just by recapping a little bit of the witness from yesterday because to my knowledge there was a little bit of information that was left out for this witness from the testimony yesterday during the direct examination by the government, and also the fact that the witness that we are starting out with today is a witness who is a lawyer who have and still currently representing Miles's trustee in his bankruptcy case. So just to give you guys a better overview, we are basically looking at a little bit of a overlap from two cases. Right now we have the current case that Miles is on trial for, and also a bankruptcy case that he is also in, and certain pieces of information may have overlap. So that's why today in this show things might get a little bit more complicated. But we are here to give you guys a full picture and a thorough understanding of what had been discussed during the trial. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions, please do feel free to drop it in the live chat section, and we are going to be looking at the chat throughout the show. If you guys have any questions, we will do our best to address them and to make sure that we have given you guys enough clarity and enough details to understand the contents discussed in both yesterday's trial and today. So with that being said, let's welcome Ava and Feder onto the show. They have been doing such a good job at giving you guys a very thorough and very prompt information after the trial, and they have been working extremely hard because we know, for last week, a lot of the days, were extended to 5 p.m. just to allow there to be more time for some of the witnesses to be able to fully testify and be examined by both the government and also Miles's legal team. So welcome, Ava and Feder.
Yes, thank you, Saturn, for having us again.
Hi, Saturn. Hi, everyone.
So Ava, actually, I just wanted you to kind of explain a little bit about who this witness is and also about the bankruptcy, right? Because when we look at it and hear that this is a bankruptcy case, well, the first question I think all of our audience is asking is, well, why is it a bankruptcy case? What made it into a bankruptcy case? So we kind of have to look at the origins of where it came from, and I believe that was also discussed today during the trial.
Yes.
So let's start up with a little bit of a run through of this for the audience.
Sure. Yeah. So today, it's a very productive day. I think in a very short period of time, I think the defense counsel was able to paint a picture that basically encompassed 7 years long. As you recall, many of you have been following our show. You would know we refer to this as unrestricted lawfare. So if the criminal case that we're currently going through, it's actually a climax, in terms of the journey. But in the defense cross today, it actually took back everybody going back to 2017, as we already introduced yesterday, because the latest witness number 29, he is a lawyer and he providing service. His law firm has been retained by the bankruptcy lawyer, bankruptcy trustee that appointed by DOJ, which in this case is Luc Dupont. Luc Dupont from Paul Hastings firm is the trustee, Chapter 11 trustee that was appointed by the DOJ for Miles Guo's bankruptcy proceeding, which parallel to this criminal cases. Although there's some stay that was granted by the court and by the bankruptcy court, but by and large, there are some activities still ongoing, as today confirmed by the witness 29. And his name is Mr. Skalka. Skalka is a practiced law for 35 years in the financial stress bankruptcy proceeding. So today, through the cross and through the direct, he did share some information that was, I find it's pretty shocking in terms of how the bankruptcy lawyer charged the fee and how much they have been charging. So the trustee was appointed by DOJ, and he retained his firm, which is Paul Hastings, as a lawyer for the trustee. Okay, so through the bankruptcy proceeding of Miles Guo's Chapter 11 bankruptcy, Paul Hastings has already billed for $25 million. And yesterday we already know that through this testimony of the witness that overall about $100 million that the trustee has claimed they recovered for the estate. Okay, in this bankruptcy proceeding, Chapter 11, reorganization of somebody's debt. So if you calculate 25 million divided by 100 million, it's basically a quarter of what's recovered, supposedly, under the bankruptcy for the estate that to distribute it to the creditors, so-called creditors. It was basically paid to Paul Hastings, where the trustee's law firm. And the testimony that the witness 20 Niles confirmed, his firm, who basically returned by Paul Hastings to provide some additional services, because as you know, bankruptcy proceeding, they've issued lots of subpoenas, right? So these are there's tons of paperwork. So that's why his firm was retained by Paul Hastings to provide a lot of those services, filing, pleading, and notify the third party for subpoenas, engaging discovery, for the third party. So he confirmed his firm has been charging and paid $2 million for this Miles Guo related bankruptcy case already. So yeah, exactly. Wow. I was having that same reaction as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you think about legal work, you don't think seven figures.
That's right.
Seven figures, I would say, is a lot. And if you look at the percentage to it, the percentage is relatively high.
Yeah, that's why the cross linked the logic quickly for everyone. Basically, the bigger the recovery of the assets you claim to be, the bigger is your fee. Right, the bigger is the pool of funds available to pay your fee. Right, so the witness testified yes, affirmatively. So going back to the case, we wanted to help you to understand where the bankruptcy case came along. How did the bankruptcy case come into being? In this case, preceded this criminal case of Miles Guo. As you recall, if you've been following our show on NFSC Speaks, Miles Guo has 70-some plus legal cases in the United States. And this bankruptcy case came along after another legal cases which involved a organization entity named PAX.
PAX.
Okay, so PAX stands for Pacific Alliance Asian Opportunity Fund, because it's too long, so that make it easy. So it's a short for PAX. It's a subsidiary funds that managed by the company called PAG. Okay, Pacific Alliance Group, which based in Hong Kong, registered in Cayman Islands, and headed by a CCP spy. Okay, it did come up in the cross-examination, and our lawyer did mention that this person has been allegedly by the Mr. Guo that has been the CCP spy. So and so basically, I'm talking about three legal cases just to be clear. The first one is PAX case. So PAX case moved along for 5 years in the United States, and it resulted in an unprecedented fine. Okay, and the fine was issued by the court of also Southern District of New York, by the court on February 9th, 2022. Okay, and they basically issued a contempt of the court order, prior order. The court has prior ordered a conditional contempt in injunction in subject to returning of a luxury yacht that owned by Mr. Guo's daughter. Okay, so at that time the yacht was outside of U.S. jurisdiction. So previously they issued a conditional contempt, but on February 9th, 2022, they issued a permanent contempt order and fined Miles Guo $134 million, and they demanded Guo to pay up the fine in 5 business days, or otherwise facing possible jail time. Okay, so that is why this immediately triggered Miles Guo's filing for application petition for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which on the 6th day, which is within the defined time period of 5 business days. Miles Guo filed this petition on February 15th. So in 2022. So this is where it come from. But in today's cross, our defense counsel brought some very, very important information for everyone to consider who's sitting in the courtroom today. First of all, he brought up the PAX case. Right? You were there.
Right, yeah.
You can talk about, or you can talk about it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to let you elaborate on it, but the key takeaway really is the fact that the timing of when the PAX case showed up, right? I think the
That's right.
timing is
The
nothing
timing.
short of a coincidence.
That's right.
Because pretty much at the same time, Miles recently just did a interview on April 19th, 2017 on Voice of America, just exposing certain information regarding
Against the CCP, yeah.
And literally before he went on the interview, he had a red Interpol from the Communist Party themselves.
That's
so
right.
and so you can kind of get an idea of the reason why this case was showed up in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's a coincidence that these three things happened
Yeah.
at the same time. And this was also brought up in court that they kind of showed a document of when this stuff was filed, and our Miles' legal team had pointed out that these are the events that has taken place around that date. So I think the overarching idea in the cross-examination and why is something that we have to turn back to really look deeper into is the fact that we made it clear that the Chinese Communist Party is somehow, some way behind
Yes.
these things.
That's correct, yeah.
So I think through some of the questions and some of the details, especially knowing that Miles had also in the past, this was also brought up in court, that in the past, he has been threatened, discredited on the social media, attempts to kidnap and repatriate Miles, and some of his family members getting arrested. All these things, they really defines who Miles is. He is the number one enemy of the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
So that being an overarching idea is being brought up and reminded again when looking at so many different cases.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to keep that in mind, because you cannot just look at these cases without considering the fact that Miles is the defendant.
That's correct, yeah. And that came across really brilliantly, because when the cross defense took the floor from the government, he started with, "Hey, Mr. Skalka, in your 35 years of practicing career as a bankruptcy lawyer, have you seen a case where the debtor or the person in the interest in the particular bankruptcy case that subjects to repeated repatriation efforts by the CCP? Have you ever seen somebody in your career, like the subjects, the main debtor is actually subjects to repeated kidnap efforts of the CCP? Have you seen people being constantly attacked on social media and on media by have you?" And he confirmed he never met another person like Miles Guo, in his 35 years of career. So it testified the uniqueness of this case and the defendant himself. Yeah, for sure. Anything to add?
Right, he doesn't know anything about what happened to Mr. Miles Guo, right? And either, about the posters, for specifically what he means, that we're going to talk about the protests regarding to this bankruptcy case too. It's been brought up a lot of, it's like the main subject of the day.
That's right,
yeah. And we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, and also it's very good, because I think the timing is also perfect, because our defense lawyer again introduced the stipulation 1, just to kind of let everybody know. Stipulation is a written agreement by both lawyers to as a quicker way of introducing evidence without calling a witness. So we call them stipulation 1. So if you recall, the government and defense stipulation 1 is a document produced by law enforcement in the United States. And so today, again, the defense lawyer asked the witness to read 2 paragraphs. And it happened to be the 2 paragraphs talk about early 2017 when Miles Guo started, the whistleblower movement, and openly speak against the CCP, and immediately what kind of the things that CCP has done to him. And then another paragraph that the witness read out loud is, in May 2017, there's 4 undeclared agents was dispatched by the CCP to basically coerce Miles Guo returning back to China. So the timing is very perfect, because the PAX case brought in April. So he confirmed, this too, right, Jet posts the PAX case, so, and confirmed the timing. So not only that, I think it's very effective. They talked about the trustee. Okay, so they moved along with the PAX case. They quickly talk about some of the court decision regarding the PAX case, because the PAX case is very unusual. Okay, from the direct section, because this morning when we started, the government counsel still continuing ask the witness to read the transcripts from the previous bankruptcy creditors committee meeting. There's one sentence that they read talks about sorry, I lost my thought, but it comes back because that's very important. Talks about how I can think about later, but I wanted to mention is they talk about I remember. The one sentence Miles Guo said, it was Miles Guo said in that credit meeting. He said, this throughout the PACS case, I've only met the judge for 20 seconds. I'm not allowed to say anything more than, I'm not allowed to talk to him at all. And I have already been fined the total amount, I remember he said about 300 million. That's a deposition, not deposition, that's a credit meeting. In a credit meeting that Miles Guo was asking a question and he was giving the answer. And that was read out loud by the witness this morning. Under the request of the government lawyer. So give you an understanding. So what happened in the PACS case is the plaintiff, which is PACS, okay, the CCP running dog or CCP proxies, that they actually asked for 3 summary judgments against Miles Guo, and they took Miles Guo's apartment that he lives in at the time, which is not Miles Guo's assets. It's basically owned by his son. And also the yacht that Miles Guo was using, which again was owned by his daughter. So the CCP is coming after his assets, okay, so at that time. But none of the summary judgment was successful. But finally, at the 4th request, they were successful. The judge granted the plaintiff almost 114 million. This is basically initial loan, which is $31 million plus interests. So the overall is 114 million. And then plus the second, I just mentioned about the contempt fine, right? So if you're adding this 2 number together, so it's about 250 million that the judge awarded PACS with. Okay, and which the second judgment that pushed Miles Guo's for application. But what's really good in the cross is they come up, there were questions about how was the trustee appointed. Do you remember that? Do you recall?
Right. It was
that was a
appointed
key.
by the government.
That's right. Because we showed a photo. You know, there is a so-called protest. If you recall, like NFSC, those followers we actually took upon ourselves, and we find, it's injustice that we observed in United States because a trustee that appointed by U.S. government can actually threatening, Miles Guo and extorted him basically. There's $250 million he demanded Miles Guo to pay him personally. Otherwise, he would threaten to tear apart him and his family and the movement. So that is why we took it out and we went to protest peacefully, right? But in this court, so that was brought up by the direct questioning of the government counsel and also by the cross. So during the cross, we showed a picture of a sign that was created for the protest. The sign actually said. There's a photo of the trustee and it says extortionist appointed by DOJ, and then there's 250 million was on the sign. So the cross, brought up that picture and asked the testimony. How did the trustee was appointed? So the witness basically mentioned about, this was appointed by DOJ, U.S. Trustee Office, which is a branch of the DOJ, and yada yada. And then and he asked the cross, the defense counsel asked who was the first trustee appointed, because there's quite a story about who was first appointed and how did the first trustee actually get replaced by the second, which is Luc Dupont.
Right, and that's something that, as you said, have been asked during the trial today. If the witness know who the first trustee was, obviously the witness said that he doesn't know. But the key thing is that when he was asked why did they choose to change the first trustee, the witness actually testified that from what he remembers, it was a conflict. There was a conflict of interest.
There's a
right?
vetting process
and
for
also
trustees. That's right. He introduced a little bit of what the vetting process looked like, interview qualified in candidates, and check the conflict of interest, and this, and that is why the first trustee was replaced, right?
Right.
And then, but when I ask how did the second come along, is because there is a motion. There is a motion filed by PAX. Okay, at that time, PAX dismissed the Chapter 11 trustee because what they did is they went through some of the information, which I forgot what it is. I can't remember, but that information alone could actually make Chapter 11 bankruptcy illegitimate. Oh yeah, they reviewed legal documents. The documents saying that Miles School's living expenses was provided by family members and enterprises controlled by families. Okay, so then our cross defense say, well, this will make Chapter 11 bankruptcy illegible, right? And he confirmed, yes, this would make actually this Chapter 11 proceeding illegible. Yeah. Did I say it right? The English? Let me. Illegitimate, right? So, but then what happened is the PAX creditor, they actually, so the witness actually testified. He said, yeah, this is illegible. So Miles School is illegible for filing Chapter 11.
Right.
Yeah. And then, but he said, yeah, this is the case. And the PAX creditor did file a motion to dismiss the Chapter 11 proceeding. Okay? And he confirmed, yes, they all did. But what happened? Why did still the Chapter 11 actually allowed to go ahead? Is because the judge at the bankruptcy proceeding ordered it. Okay? So both PAX and Miles School filed a motion to dismiss this chapter.
Disqualify? Is it what it is?
To dismiss the Chapter 11 proceeding because they want to go for a Chapter 7, right? It's different because Miles School, by reading that, it's already, could go some other ways. But then through the witness, he confirmed, no, the bankruptcy judge overruled. Okay, so they basically appointed the second trustee, which in this case is Luc Dupont. Okay, so that's explained how this came along and why, the trustee became the trustee in Miles School's case.
Right,
So-
and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this already about the conditional contempt order that given by PAX in February 9th of 2022.
That's a final.
That's a final,
Yeah,
okay.
so the conditional was issued in March 2021.
Okay.
That was a warning to say if you don't get the yacht, the Lady Me yacht, back into U.S. Jurisdiction, then you will be fined $500,000 per day.
500,000.
500,000 per day. That's unheard of in the history of the United States civil court applying a fine. But Miles School is not everybody. It's a CCP enemy number one. So we knew. So that is why, leading to the February 9th, 2022, the final order of contempt issued a penalty of 134 million.
To pay in 5 days.
That's right, within 5 days. Otherwise, jail time.
Right, and just to put it in perspective, 5 days is less than a week. It's not even a full 7 days.
That's
just
right.
5 business days, essentially.
That's correct.
And I know that during the cross-examination, Miles's legal team have also, talked about the liquidation of assets, which kind of drew in a better picture because this is a lot to pay back. And,
Absolutely.
And also, even if you consider declaring for bankruptcy, I mean, assets needs to be liquidated, right?
Yeah.
And that whole process could take some time, and that was something that
He confirmed.
The witness confirmed is true. It takes time to liquidate assets.
That's right. He said sometimes people went into bankruptcy is not because their assets is less than their liability. Most of the time, is actually their assets is bigger than their liability. It's just a liquidity. They can turn their assets into a cash.
Yes.
That be able to pay the fine. That's a problem. That's where people actually file for bankruptcy. Okay, so he definitely testified on this. But one issue that pointed out by our cross is really interesting that I didn't know because they mentioned about I know the fact that the Luc Dupont and this firm that they returned where the witness came from, they actually collectively filed another civil RICO against Miles School. Okay, so this was actually, I think it was just, is it last year? Yeah, last year. I
Yeah,
think it
last
was
year.
the last year they fired. And come through, the information came through the cross is they actually can triple the claim in terms of what they've already get paid right now. Okay, so you remember 25 million plus 2 million, 27 million, both of them, right? Both Paul Hastings and this witness's firm already get paid out of the recovery for the estate. But this civil RICO complaint would allow them to sweeten, I guess, the pot of money that will be available to pay their fees and triple. Basically, that's almost a jackpot.
Right, and also
That's right.
more work, more money. That's the key thing. Is that I think from this question actually originally started from asking about are you guys probably not making that much right now because there's not a lot of stuff going on.
That's right.
And by doing this, there will be a lot more work, right?
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a lot more work.
Yeah.
And in turn, confirm that it's gonna triple the amount of kickback that we're gonna get.
And in that civil RICO lawsuits that the bankruptcy trustee started against Miles School and a bunch of people, I think they sued 300 something. I don't quote me on the number, I can't remember, but there's a bunch of people that was lumped in that legal cases brought by the trustee and the firm, and also so this is like another case, another lawsuits within spin off from the main bankruptcy case. But very interesting is Luc Dupont, upon filing this adversary proceeding, which is another legal cases, the civil RICO, he immediately basically put a stay on it. Right? So in the cross was very clear in terms of what's the motivation of Luc Dupont, the trustee, why he did what he did, why he wanted to stay this motion. So he basically the question is, so if the RICO, the civil RICO is paused, is stay is a term, is a legal term for pause the civil RICO case, then there will be so Guo's counsel, Miles Guo's counsel in this case, in this criminal case, will not have opportunity to issue subpoena to question the witness that the government planned to call in this criminal proceeding. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because there was some concerns prior to this criminal proceeding happened last year. There was a concern about the Luc Despin and the government are working together. Okay, Luc Despin got a lot of photos, which from Mawa and then that was searched by the government. So it sounds like they're working together. They actually even entered a settlement agreement where the proceeds of the Mawa should go. Which one should get how much money between the government and the trustee. Yeah, so it's like they're working together behind the curtain, but this is a criminal legal case and Miles Guo trying to defend himself. So this is absolutely no, right? So this is why I think the cross are very clear, pointed this out. There is a clear motivation. Why? First of all, they brought even this civil RICO is because they can sweeten the jackpot, right? And the second, why they then immediately put a pause on the civil RICO is because they don't want us, Miles Guo's counsel, to be able to subpoena and question those witnesses that the government is about to use.
Right, and I think that's also there's another important aspect that I would like to point out is the fact that think back to another witness, Haifeng Khalid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember what happened with him testifying in the testimony when it was said later on during the day that some of the information he was giving out might incriminate him in a different court. And this is the exact same thing and exact logic of why they decided to put a stay onto the civil RICO is for the same reason, right? Because when they do have these witnesses on a different case come on testify, some of their testimonies may be able to be used in a different court.
That's right.
So that's also another reason why I from my own personal opinion, why Luc Dupont is not coming on. Luc Dupont himself is not
That's right.
coming on, and it just makes it a little bit more interesting because some of the witnesses that we see today, they are not able to tell the full story just because they are not the ones who are initiating stuff. They are more
Correct.
of another figure on the side, right? Because I think during the cross-examination, there were a large number of I don't knows when it comes to some of the legal proceedings, just
That's right.
because they're not as involved as the trustee himself.
Right.
And just to even put it in a better picture, why not have the trustee in this bankruptcy case
Yeah.
testify, right?
Yeah.
So and this was another thing that I believe was said before this witness came on, is the fact that, you know, they should keep these two cases separate, and they should, you know,
Yeah.
just to say that
That's right.
upfront,
Yeah.
instead of having what had happened to Haifeng.
Yeah.
to,
You know-
to hear it kind of towards the end of his
Yeah, you
testimony.
know what? I would love to have Luke Desmond sitting in that witness chair. Seriously, I would love to have him, but I don't think he will make it. But in the second redirect, there's a
yeah.
question asked by Ferguson, which is one of the one of the team member of the prosecutor team, and he asked this witness. He said, "Who is the judge in the Pax case?" And then the witness said, "Oh, it's Judge Oster, blah blah." And then he said, "Is he a member of the CCP?" And then the witness answered definitively no. Right? He said no, he's not, and people laughing, right? But at the end of the recross, sorry, they started second round of direct. There's a question asked by Ferguson, ask this witness, and he said, "Are you a CCP spy?" And the witness say no. Definitively, I'm not a CCP spy. Then immediately he's redirect ended, and then at this time Sid didn't even bother, like our counsel didn't even have time to come to the podium. He just directly sit where he sat and ask a question, like he stood up and asked a question, say, "If you were the CCP spy, would you telling us?" And then everyone in the courtroom was basically had a moment of very relaxed
Yes.
laughing, like the laugh, like the judge, the jury, the audience, you know, the followers, like everybody.
Yeah. There's the one last thing I want to point out, you know, regarding the protest that we heard a lot about today, hearing all of this about this uniqueness and what happened during the bankruptcy case, and therefore will lead to us into the detail of the protest that took in place when the bankruptcy case happened. It also, I remember there's a question we asked to Haitham Khaled that, but because he filed a personal bankruptcy too, right? And then I remember the government was asking him, "Oh, you filed bankruptcy, and did you went to protest?" And then, you know, this is back like, if anyone remember that question, they will link to what happened today, you know, like this is completely two different kind, you know. It was Haitham Khaled was ever persecuted or like kidnapped or, you know, sent by a red notice by a government, you know, the communist party, and then, you know, this it's not comparable, these two cases. I just remember that question about the protest, and yeah.
So with this testimony, I think there's two more very interesting things I would like to kind of turn our attention to, and one of which is the fact that, you know, they did show documents saying that, you know, Miles has a lot of his assets seized from Hong Kong.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, the other one I just forgot. It was just on the top of my head.
It was they
talking.
raided so September October 2017, the Chinese government raided the Shiny Time office in
Right.
China, right, and seized all the corporate
Right,
records
right.
and personal finance records and everything, right?
Right.
So yeah. So yeah, that's as we said, you know, through just this witness, the Skalka, Mr. Skalka, we'll be able to kind of walk through the three prominent legal cases in Miles School's unrestricted legal warfare with the CCP. The first one was the Pax, then 5 years battle and Pax leading to a personal petition filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and then there's twists and turns because bankruptcy is really truly. There's a lot of red flags there, okay? So every step of the way. And from how the second trustee was appointed, how the first trustee was removed, there's tons of question marks out there, but nobody has answered ever the question. So I'm hoping by change the terms, you know, when the table is turned, when the floor is ours, and I'm hoping the defense counsel will be able to establish more information for that part. And then it talks about bankruptcy, and then now this criminal case in terms of fraud. So this is why we say this is a climax of everything that accumulated
Right.
today. Yeah, we have to, go
Right.
ahead.
And that actually reminds me of the second very interesting thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact, and this bridged both the bankruptcy case and also the criminal case together, is the fact that while Miles has such a large fine, he did not use any of the G Club money to pay it
Yeah.
off.
Yes.
I think that's a very interesting thing to point out, because, you
Yeah.
know, if if say this is my personal opinion,
Yeah.
if I'm asked that question and I have to think with that logic, then if Miles really did fraud, some people did was in a fraudulent mindset, he would have already just paid it and be gone with it instead
That's
of
right.
going through the process of filing for bankruptcy
Yeah.
and
Correct.
having and actually forfeiting his financial information.
That's
Because
right.
when you have to file for
Right.
bankruptcy, you have to forfeit that information,
Yes.
and it's for someone like Miles, who is a target of the CCP.
Yeah.
It does leave him, vulnerable
Yeah.
to have that information,
For
financial
sure, and it'll
information
be
out there.
easier for him to use that money to pay the fine instead of using this money to enjoy the luxury life. It will be easier for him to make the decision, right? Because he needs to
Yeah.
pay this fine.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure. The logic just doesn't jive. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't connect. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I would just like to take a moment to to talk to our viewers. If you guys are interested to have the live updates for Miles' trial, you guys can follow us on Getter at NFSE Speaks and also on X at NFSE Speak. We will be giving you guys timely and live updates regarding the trial, just a basic overview of what had transpired during the day of the trial, and also at 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, we will be having this show on LFA TV just to give you guys a more in-depth look on the trial of today. And post the trial, we will also be uploading the transcript of the day to our official website at nfscofficial.com. So with that being said, let us come back to the trial. I think this is a very good general overview for this for these cases. I mean, this is quite a number of cases that are overlapping and we're looking at. And I think I see a comment here that's saying that they're confused about this, and we have one from Darlene saying, I'm a little confused on all of this. Is this about the bankruptcy and or the CCP trying to get Miles back? Well, I just wanted to recap a little bit on the cases that we have at hand, and Ava has already done that. So right now, this trial that Miles is undergoing is for the criminal trial. He is facing 12 counts of financial charges and 1 count of RICO charge. And the bankruptcy here in reference came up through one of the witness who is a legal member that is associated with Miles's bankruptcy case, which had resulted from the third case, which is a PAX case, which had fined Miles in over hundreds of millions of dollars. And these are the 3 cases in question, and that is kind of how they came up in today's cases. And this is going to be a little bit more complicated because let's say if I'm the jury, I have to not only understand this criminal case going on, I also have to try my best to understand 2 more cases in the matter
right.
of a day and a half. So this, you can start to imagine how difficult it would be for the legal teams to really be able to paint the full picture. And I think they have done a great job so far at giving some of the more broader details to allow everyone to quickly have an idea of what is transpiring through the bankruptcy case and also the PAX case, which I'm surprised that it came up to paint the full picture, because is the information given was enough, in my opinion, to allow the jury to kind of come to a understanding.
And I'm going to take a stab at with Darlene's question. So the CCP has from the get-go wants Miles Guo's life. They want him to return to China. They never gave that up. And then in order to do that, they have been trying multiple plans. Okay, when they want to execute something, remember, they're not always just betting on one. They're always betting on plan A, B, C, D, E, and they know the power of individual is coming from their faith. And Miles Guo has been proven have the strongest conviction in terms of what he believes. So he will never compromise and appease when he fighting with evil. Okay, that's out. The second way of CCP can get him to kneel down and possibly bring him back is to take all his financial resources. That is why, okay, he doesn't own anything. He's broken, he's bankruptcy because of the CCP. And all the things, as we showed after papers and papers from yesterday and today again speaks loudly to Miles Guo does not even have a credit card. Miles Guo does not have a bank account. Miles Guo does not even have a cash. He doesn't even carry cash. All his living expenses was paid by his family members because they have a family fund, and the family has 100 people, more than a couple hundred people, okay, in his family fund, Guo family. So his living expenses was provided and paid by family members such as his son, and could be other family members, but also through the entities that controlled by the families. Okay, so that's the reality. That's the black and white on any paper that could be accepted, under scrutiny of any courts. So that's why the CCP has tried everything they can. Okay, they tried everything attacking Miles Guo is his life and his financial resources. Okay, and most important, they want to destroy the NFSC, this movement, because one person, they already made a huge mess. Miles Guo has already made a huge mess to CCP. Okay, just think about if we can, create 100 more Miles Guo, 1,000 more Miles Guo, and 10,000 more Miles Guo, then that's the end of the CCP. That's the end of the tyranny, period. So that's why they're scared. They wanted to destroy the movement, and they want to destroy Miles Guo, period. And this is the way they do it in the United States, which most of us still believe the rule of law is still here. But we can't take it for granted. We have to fight to keep it.
Right, that's beautifully said. And that's one of the things I think I pray to every day is, I hope that we can see Miles prove his innocence in court, sooner than later.
Yes.
But with that being said, I know we do have a about 18 minutes left in the show, and
Okay.
there's 2 more witnesses we should go through, right? So
Yes.
let us quickly go through the next one because I believe
Okay.
their testimony is quite short.
It's quite very
Do you wanna
short,
try it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll start introducing a little bit about witness number 30. Owen Foley, he's a U.S. Office Attorney Paralegal right at the South District Court of New York, Southern District Court of New York. He has no involvement in this case. He just reviewed, and made some minor corrections to a summary chart of a loan agreement and selected investments. So basically a summary chart where you show the date, who's the lender, who's the borrower, the signature, fund receiver, amount, currency, etc., etc. So so it was very straightforward. It basically showed the amount of money that being transferred between two G Club company, which is G Club Operations LLC and a G Club International Limited. So both companies have the same UBO or director, and he was just asked to read out a bunch of what's written on the chart and the questions being asked by the government, by identifying, what is this, what is that, and does it match to the loan agreement in detail, that it's the same that's shown in the chart and all that. And do you want to starting about cross? This is basically
Sure. Yeah, so basically the Excel sheets was created, the witness told us that this was created by Murray, which is the one of the lead prosecutor on the government's team. So basically it's a column showing the borrower, the loan agreement's borrower and lender, and how much was it, and then who is the fund receiver. So where did the money go, okay? So, but happened to be in the cross, we were very effective because the cross only like less than 20 some minutes.
Oh, that's quite short. 20
Actually
minutes.
40
minutes.
40 minutes, we'd be able to establish that there are a lot of material error,
Right.
So from the get-go, they double counted. It seems like they double counted one of the loan agreement, and the amount is 25 million. Okay, they counted twice because one of the loan agreement is original loan agreement, and the second one is amendment in terms of how the loan should be paid. Rather than paid to the borrowers for efficiency purpose, the borrower has directed lender to pay it directly to the fund receiver. But because of that amendment, they counted the 25 million twice in the total. So this is one of the materialistic error. But the other one is even worse, according when I saw it, is because this witness testified that he reviewed, the documents that government gave it to him. These are the loan agreement that speaks to the column, to the spreadsheets, all the information. But then when the cross, they asked for a documents to be put on the screen, and then showed him and asked him to read, and it appears like everybody knows this is not a loan agreement. This is a letter of direction in terms of where to send transfer. Okay, there's nothing on this document says somebody lent, somebody, what's the term? There's nothing. It's just one page and say, this is transfer from this to this. So technically, there's nobody would say, everybody can read. They will not reach a conclusion that say this is a loan agreement. So obviously, this is not a loan agreement. So, but
no signatures as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no signature, no lender, no borrower, nothing. It's not. It's just a one-page. It says letter of direction. Letter of direction to transfer the following from and when and effective date. That's it. So that's technically is not a loan agreement, but was categorized by the prosecutor as a loan agreement, and hence was enlisted on this spreadsheet. So just merely from those materialistic arrow that we can see that this is not very effective. But just so you know, this is nothing new, because this is probably just a way of prosecutor introducing more evidence into the proceeding, because it does not relate it to the previous witness testimony. It does not relate it to the next witness testimony. It's just the G Club, right? Because we have gone through quite a bit of G Club paperwork. This is just to say, the G Club operation, which is the organization in Puerto Rico, receives member payments and then transfer the money to G Club International, which is registered at BVI. So they just established those connections between a borrower and lender, and eventually some of the funds was moved out to Himalaya Financial International for investment in crypto assets. So that's all they did, is they want to just put it there, and maybe later on, I don't know, in the closing statements or whatever, they will link this together again. Wanted to paint a picture of money laundering, but this is nothing, as we already shared with you, this is not, because this is have a clearly contract term written, and the owners are actually absolutely in position to move the funds as they wish. And it's all disclosed, and have some of them have even schedule repayment, schedule amortization, and we already talked about in the previous show, so we're not gonna deliberate on that.
Yeah. And then also the company, the lender and borrower, they're owned by the same owner, and
That's
also
right.
I think the lender owns the borrower.
Yeah, it's a parent company, it's a subsidiary, so it's up to the company how they want to do their operation.
How they manage the
right?
funds. Yeah.
And just for some of you are not familiar with G Club. G Club is one of the entities that created in the G Series. So G Series is the ecosystem, is the enterprise that New Federal State of China, the followers, are supporting. Okay, because understanding this is how Mile School wanted to create 100-mile school, wanted to create 1,000-mile school, because we all believe good and decent people deserve better life. Okay, so this is why you see, ordinary people coming together and supporting this movement, and because we believe the cause. Yeah.
And also, just back to the first witness today, just something he read in the transcript.
Yeah.
I believe was it about the bankruptcy case. In the transcript that was Mr. Miles Guo mentioned about what G stand for. So this is the first time we ever see what G stand for. We show everyone what he said about what G stands for. He said in the transcript, the legal documents say G stands for God or goal, for the GOAL, the goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's on April 6, 2022. That's the transcript date. So on that day, Miles Guo answering the question what G stands for, and he said it was God and goal. And later on, he added another G, which is good and gold. Yeah, he later on added two more. Yeah.
Yeah, and just before we move on to the final witness for today, I do see another question from ZBM.
Yeah.
This person said that, I heard that the courts recently found Miles to be a double agent for the CCP. Is that actually true or not? Well, that's false, because one, that has not come up in the court, and two, if it were to be true, then it's easy for them to prove it, because they have registration numbers.
That's right.
Either side could have just pulled it up and reviewed it. So if they haven't done that by now, it's the fact that he is not a double agent.
Yeah, actually, this is numerous attempts has been made to basically say Miles Guo is a double agent, but this is just a rumor that has been circling from the day one. Okay, it has been cited by a lot of CCP proxies over the years, even through other legal cases that I'm aware of, and those proxies ended losing the case. So that is why it's very easy to prove, and this is a court of law. We welcome everybody to bring evidence to the court.
Right. And so we do have just 10 minutes left. Let's quickly go through
Okay.
this next witness. If we don't finish, for the audience, don't worry. We're going to pick up where we left off for tomorrow. And because today the trial does end at 5 p.m., there are information that we are missing because the trial is still going on as
That's
we
right.
are going as we're doing the show right now. So please, Ava or Feather, do you guys who do
Do
you
you want
want
to try first?
I'll
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do a little brief introduction about this witness.
Go ahead.
So at around 1:20, they brought up this witness, Daniel Copeland. He is how do I start this? He's a
Son-in-law.
Yes, the son-in-law of Luc Depin. So
The
The
trustee.
the
trustee.
trustee,
Chapter 11's
yeah,
trustee,
Luc
yeah.
Depin trustee. So he married to Luc Depin's daughter Isabelle Depin, and which is it's a school teacher, and they married in 2022.
July.
and in I think it was October, but I think they moved.
Oh,
they
October,
moved,
yes.
they moved,
October.
and then he received a subpoena, and around that time. But we're gonna talk about the subpoena. But basically, he received a subpoena. He by email. He never opened it. He never read it, and he just somehow ended up. I don't know if he sent it to to Luke or anyone. But then Luc Depin, they found hired a lawyer from Paul Hastings, so his firm's lawyer, to contact the government. So this is what happened. But then in the subpoena, it didn't say that he has to meet with Miss Murray from the government. He can just come to court and then testify. But then he decided to contact Miss Murray for meetings and etc. So basically, in his testimony, he talked about the protest and the protest that happened in November 2022 outside of his house with his wife and his house. So they basically talk about what the protest did and what are the effects, and then who he's what did the effect on him, what his observation that affect his wife, and what happened afterwards, and that's basically what happened in direct. But we can go into some of the details with Ava.
Yeah, so basically, we don't have enough time. I'm just going to summarize it. So this witness that the government called upon, I think the government want to use him to portray what the followers of the NFSC the protest going to look like and who we are. But I don't think they achieved that purpose just from the cross, because the direct is quite short actually, and then the cross started actually 2 o'clock, and then we had the table because they only had 40 minutes, and then we took over. So doing the direct, the council did not. The council just say, yeah, you're here because you received the subpoena. That's why you're here testifying. Yeah, I received the subpoena from government. That's why I'm here. But doing the cross, our defense lawyer very, very effectively established a conflict of interest. The reason why is when asked how did he receive the subpoena, he actually did not receive the physical subpoena sent by the government. It was a lawyer. He referred to the lawyer received the subpoena. And then when asked who the lawyer is, he had to say that the lawyer was hired by his father-in-law, which is the person of interest, the Chapter 11 trustee Luc Depin. So Luc Depin's firm, Paul Hastings, hired the lawyer, received the subpoena on his behalf, okay, and then provide the legal services to him, prepared him with the prosecutor team together for his testimony today, okay, and then they've met 3 times. 2 times, at least 2 times. First Zoom call, 2 hours, and the second Zoom call was 1 hour in order to prepare his testimony. And he testified that he recalled when he was describing his wife, which is Dupin's daughter, Isabelle Dupin. He used the words very unsettling. Okay, this is very unsettling for her, and because when the protest came along, they had a sign. The sign is quite bloody, quite scary. So I felt, I felt threatened. Okay, although it's indirectly, but he said I felt threatened. So when asked why would you feel what does that mean, indirectly threatened? Because did any of the sign has your name on it? No. My name is not on it, so why would you feeling threatened because your name? Oh, because my wife's name is on it. So he testified a little bit. But when the cross, one thing is emphasized on is they called police. Okay, so when the NFSC followers protest, they actually did not stand right in front of the house. They actually protest peacefully, standing there holding sign and smiling with a sign. Okay, the sign is very clear saying what the Luke Desmond has been helping the CCP doing, and basically it's saying that some of the sign, remember, is saying, you know, the dollar that your father gave you, it's coming from the Chinese forced labor. Okay, there's a blood on it, something like that, right? Something. The message is towards the daughter, but they stand across the street and people are smiling, but the witness testified he didn't recall seeing anyone that is not wearing the mask. He said everybody is covering their faces with sunglasses and with some of them with hats. So later on, the cross showed pictures, and the pictures are very, four of them on the protest standing across the street and holding the sign, and two of them has a smile on the face, and three of them does not have masks, does not have sunglasses, and does not have hats. So it speaks loudly to what he remembered, you know, what his memory looks like. And also when...
And all the signs, I want to just, add to it that all the signs were linked to Luc Depan. It's not directly that attacking her personally. It's her father, and then it's all, also every sign of Luc Depan is also linked to CCP.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all the connection into it.
Correct.
It's not that it's just only him. It's because of the CCP, because of her father.
That's right.
And then she didn't change her last name after marriage, so she still kept her father's last name. So it was targeted to her father.
Yeah. But one thing emphasized by the cross is because they called police, and police came along. Okay, police investigated, and they look at the protesters and they say there's nothing illegal. They have the rights to stand here because this is America. You have amendment, you have a freedom to assembly, and I can't do nothing. So the police in November came when the first time they protest. The police came, nothing happened. Police left. They can continue, standing peacefully on the street and not bothering you. They never approached you because the cross asked, did they come approaching you? Did they wanted to attempt to talk to you? No, they did none of those things. All they did is holding the sign to do was Luc Desmond and the running dog of the CCP. And so the police said, yeah, they can be there. And again, in January, they were there again from January 2nd to 9th. And they called the police again. The police said, no, I can't do nothing. This is completely illegal. Okay, so and they also filed a restraining order against those.
Against Miles School.
Yeah, because they don't know the individual person's name that's standing protesting against them, so they have to find somebody's name because that's a requirement filing a court order or restraining order against somebody. So they gave them the name of Miles School, but later on they rescinded. Right? They take it back because they say they talk to police. It's not effective because it's not going to do anything to the protest because they have the rights and it's legal. And so they rescind it because they fear like they will be having other issues. So yeah, that's some of the testimony that I can remember quickly.
And I think because we are just running out of time for the show, this is a perfect place to left off and on a very good note for where the testimony ended up, because again, these are our given rights as Americans, to have the freedom of speech and the freedom of assembly and the freedom to protest. So I think this is in full display that, when in front of our amendment rights, there's as long as we follow, the rule of law and follow the amendment, that this is within our rights and ability.
It reminds me one sentence: when good men do nothing, you know what happens. Right? The evil gets its way. And this is why the good man has to do something. We have to do it legally, and we have to do it. Otherwise, nobody's doing it. So thanks for Miles School, and thanks for NFSC.
Right, exactly. And also, thank you, Feder and Ava, for coming on the show today. I know this is quite a complicated case in the beginning with the PAX and also the bankruptcy. And Ava has done a great job, I think, today at explaining some of the backgrounds for these cases and allowing the viewers to have a better understanding of the case. And I know she actually spent a lot of time looking at the PAX case. So that is the reason why, she is so knowledgeable on the case today. So, with that being said, thank you, Ava and Feder, for coming on for today's show, and we will see everyone tomorrow at the same time, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Miles Trial. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.